Hey, this is Ish, and today I want to talk to you about how to develop your creativity. So I was recently inspired to make this talk after I was looking over my list of talks I was going to make, and I was kind of overwhelmed with the amount of talks that I've had because I've come up with a lot of cool new insights and new ideas recently, and I wanted to share how to develop your creativity. So first and foremost, creativity comes from a state where you are receptive and you're in a mind space where you come up with new ideas and you're able to see different links between those ideas and the space of flowing. And the importance here is that it comes from a receptive mind where you're not pushing for anything rather than you're allowing different ideas to come to you. So that's a difference there. And you might have noticed already that when you're in a space where you're not actively thinking about things, such as in the shower or just walking around in a park, you'll come up with new ideas all of a sudden. And this is actually a phenomenon known as shower thoughts when you're in the shower thinking of things. And Newton actually came up with his theory of gravity when he was just sitting under a tree and he saw an apple fall. But that wasn't when he was actually actively planning these theories, but rather he was just chilling out and he came up with that idea. So going further, you'll see that creativity comes from the right hemisphere of our brain rather than the left. And I'm going to list the qualities of both the left and right hemisphere, and I want you to focus more on the right. So I'm going to go over the left. So the left hemisphere, the left side of the brain, is responsible for logic, sequencing, linear thinking, like point A to point B, math, facts, and thinking with words. So think of like a STEM subject in school where it's like science, technology, engineering, and math. It's very left brain, logical, and it's very linear. And then also as a side note, if you go up to someone who is primarily using their left brain a lot, and you might know these people, and you try to present them with an out-of-a-box idea, they often shut it down because from their perspective, they are using mostly their left hemisphere of their brain, where it's all about facts, reasoning, logic, and going from here to there. So nothing is considered out of that time frame. And then the other side, you have the right side of the brain. This is where most like artists use this side, and poets and writers, where it's imaginative, holistic. So not thinking in straight lines, but rather in circles. And then art, flow, nonverbal communication, being the feelings of life, visualizing and daydreaming. So this is more of that receptive, creative headspace. And just looking over this list, you can find that you can train yourself to engage more of the right side more to develop this creativity. So you can do things like poetry, drawing, listening, and also creating music, reading, especially like fantasy type things where you're engaging your mind and thinking of new ideas. Writing and then making videos is one other example. So these are different ways you can engage the creative mind, because you'll find that when you're immersed in more logical thinking for a long period of time, you lose that creativity and your mind becomes more sharp, which is a great thing, but it also loses out on the new ideas of life. And then another thing I want to emphasize is that you are just allowing different ideas to come into your mind rather than doing. So this is more of that yin quality that we've learned about rather than the yang quality of actively doing. So it's more of that allowing, and I want to make that, a point. So in my personal opinion, since I talk about meditation all the time, I think meditation is a great way to develop creativity. And actually most of my talks come from meditation. When I'm just sitting there, I'll have a notebook next to me, and all of a sudden I'll just come up with an idea when my mind is in a blank state. So it's always helpful if you're meditating, and if you're watching my talk, have a notebook next to you with a pen, and you can quickly write down your thoughts and then go back to your meditation. And specifically in meditation, you want to be in a state of oneness or emptiness rather than the concentration or dharana. So instead of the dharana of concentrating, you won't get much ideas there. You'll get more when you're in dhyan, which is the meditation absorption, where you have an open awareness, and that's when more ideas kind of just flood into your mind. So that's just one key distinction. And then another way to become more creative is to expand your paradigm. So from a law of attraction point of view, you operate and vibrate a certain level of frequencies and different viewpoints based on how you are, your emotions, the people you surround yourself with, and other factors as well. And you'll find that when you're operating from a certain headspace, you have a limited view. And to get out of that, you want to expose yourself to different realities you normally wouldn't. Expose yourself to different pieces of music, art, literature, hanging out with different types of people you wouldn't normally do. And this way, your scope of understanding becomes larger. And with that comes more connections. And this is where creativity really comes in, because you're able to create one idea from here and then connect it with another idea over there. And it's a merging of those ideas. But if you're only coming from a very limited life perspective or viewpoint, the only thing you can relate to is whatever you're experiencing right now. But if you have a wider understanding or wider approach to different things, you can connect much more ideas together, and it becomes this ever-growing thing where you come up with new ideas, and that grows on that, and then it goes on that as well, and it becomes a large web of connectivity. So go out there and actually experience different things in life, and you'll find that how amazed you are of the different things you'll come up with. So those are just a couple of tips on how to become more creative. So just a quick recap. You want to be in a receptive state of mind. So this is not actively forcing something, but rather taking back the control and just letting go. That's very important. The second way to work on your creativity is to engage more of your right side of your brain rather than the left. So this is done by doing things like art, music, poetry, anything that engages your right side of the mind, and imagination will help foster more creativity. The third thing is to meditate more. And when you're in a state of meditation, specifically the open awareness, you'll come up with new insights. And then lastly, you want to expand in life in general, you want to expand your perspective to take on more realities and viewpoints. So you can come up with new ideas and then create a web of connectivity where you connect one idea to the next. So I hope this topic helps and become creative. Thank you.